Peggle.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferret64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Ferret64 is, of course, the one-stop shop for video game news, occurrences, first impressions, and so much more. This episode, we got a lot to talk about. We got new games like Elden Ring, Nightreign, and To a T. We also have some news like Randy Pitchford's continued crazy comments, among other things. And then I also have some games to show off for the month of May. So, I was going to wait an extra week to show off the games because I was like, oh, maybe the Switch 2 will be in my possession by next episode. It should be in my possession by next episode, but Target right now says that the console is scheduled, in quotation, is scheduled to be delivered on June 11th, which is almost an entire week after it releases. So I'm hoping that when they actually ship it, like let's say they ship it on the 5th because it comes out on the 5th, that the date will be updated to like the 6th or the 7th. Like I'm fine with that. But goddamn, if I have to wait an extra freaking week to get the Switch 2, that would be very annoying because my Pro controller and the case that I bought for it will be available day one at Best Buy. So I still kick myself that I didn't try more. I didn't try harder to get a Best Buy Switch 2, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So instead of waiting to see if it'll come out or if it'll come to me next week, I figured, we'll just keep this episode, get the games out of the way, and I'll just show off the Switch 2 when it comes. Like I don't have to wait for one of these things. I can just, I don't have to wait for a game, one of those a showcase of games. I can just show them these ones off, give them their time to shine, right? Give them that. So let's go ahead and start this episode off with what have I picked up this past month of May. Okay, here are the May pickups. Well, we're going to start off with some games that I streamed throughout May and beforehand. Death Stranding, gotta show off. I have a physical copy of Death Stranding, of course. This is my original copy from back in the day when it originally came out. I did get the PS5 upgrade, so you could put this into your PS5 and get the PS5 upgrade. I did not buy a PS5 native copy. I have it on my wish list, so I'll see if it gets down to like, $20, $15. I might pick up a PS5 copy. So we'll see in the future. Also, have you seen this one before? The first Berserker Kazan. We finished this game on stream. I figured might as well be consistent, and just show off the game again. This is probably the second time you've been seeing this since it came out. But yes, first Berserker Kazan. We finished it on stream. Here it is. I already talked about that 2 episodes ago. Also, we finished GoldenEye Rogue Agent. This is a PS2 game. Decent. I will talk about it in the next section of the podcast. But there you are. GoldenEye Rogue Agent complete. It just has a sticker on it that I got to take off. And finally, for the games that we streamed, Star Wars The Force Unleashed. I already talked about this one a little bit as well. It is complete in box. I forgot to take the disc out of my Xbox. Whoops. But I do. That is complete in box. Don't worry. Now, here are some older games that I picked up from various places. So first off, we have, look at that, Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. This one is not complete in box. I am missing the manual. I need to get to that, but I figured it was a pretty solid price at the used store near me, so I decided to pick it up. Star Wars Monopoly, or Monopoly Star Wars. I played a bit of this when my computer was in the shop, and it's very nostalgic for me. This is actually one of my first Star Wars experiences. We got a demo disc, I think, out of like a cereal box back in the day, and this is one of the first games that I played from Star Wars. Pretty crazy. Also, Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate for the 3DS. Since the PC version wasn't running too well, I figured we might as well grab the DS version. I'm pretty sure I am missing the manual on this one, but the game is there. I'm thinking of trying to stream like the DS and play this, but I'll get back to you on that. Next up, Angry Birds Star Wars. Angry Birds Star Wars. I just thought that it was funny that we have a physical version of this, Angry Birds Star Wars. This is before the sequels came out, so it is only original trilogy characters. Next up, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. This was $10 on Amazon, sealed, brand new. This game is notorious for being very cheap and getting brand new copies, like sealed copies. I remember having an Xbox 360 version of this that I bought for $10 on Amazon as well, but I don't remember what happened to it. But here is the PS3 version. Boom, bada, bing. And then speaking of Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. This game came out right when I first got my PS3 back in the day. Or actually, it was a little bit after. It was a little bit before. I'm sorry, a little bit before. But this actually fills out the rest of the Metal Gear Solid collection that I have physically, because I own the collections for the... There's a collection for the PS3 that has all the games except for this one in it. Then I bought the remastered collection with 1, 2, and 3, plus some of the older games. And then, of course, we got Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. And then, boom, Metal Gear Solid 4. I also have... actually, I think I have Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain physically. I think I need to get the Ground Zeroes game physically to truly finish out my collection of Metal Gear games that I've never played. But I will get to that. Shrek, Forever After, the final chapter. This is like some sort of like... I think it's like a beat-em-up or something like that. I decided to buy this because... I don't know. I don't know. I like Shrek games, so what can I say? Doom VFR. I've been waiting to buy this game for so long, and it finally went down to a price that I was comfortable with paying for, especially because I'm not big on playing the VR games. But Doom VFR, pretty cool. It also has some inserts here. One's for Skyrim VR, and the other is for... I guess that's like a little safety guide manual for Doom. All right, and this was the last of the new old games. Let's see the new games. So at the beginning of the month, Spirit of the North 2 came out. I did not open it yet. The only reason that I bought this, because it obviously seems like an odd pick for me to pick up, Spirit of the North Enhanced Edition was actually the first, or one of the first, PlayStation 5 games I ever played. So I wanted to, just for nostalgia's sake, I guess. It was only like 4 years ago, but just for a little bit of nostalgia's sake, I guess, I got Spirit of the North 2. Also, the marquee release this week, Elden Ring Nightreign. Picked this up physically, of course. I did not get the deluxe edition. The game is in my console because we are playing that. Next up, The Precinct Limited Edition. I got this edition because it was only $10 more. It came with a very nice looking steelbook, and it came with like a map inside here along with the game's soundtrack download code. But yeah, there's a map in here, and of course the game disc itself. So I thought that this was a really great looking limited edition, and like I said, it was only like $10 more, which made it like 50. Which I thought was more than worth it. I have not gotten around to playing this yet because this came out during the week that my computer was in the shop, and I was just kind of like, I don't know. For some reason, I just couldn't play anything. Like, I couldn't get myself to play anything new, but Precinct right there. And then finally, this is a game that I ordered quite some time ago because I'm trying to collect all the physical Batman games, right? So we got the Batman Arkham Trilogy collections, the Arkham Collection. This includes Batman Arkham Asylum, City, and Night. It does not have Origins, which is a usual thing for these things. So this is essentially the remastered versions of City and Arkham on the disc, and then it's a download for Night and all of its DLCs, which is very strange. I don't see why they couldn't just throw Night onto a disc or like a double disc in there. Maybe they just had extra copies of the Batman, City and Asylum remake collections or remastered collections, but. Yeah, I thought that it would be a great idea to add this to my collection for whatever reason, but yeah, I mean this of course just adds to my list of Batman games that I have physically. There are of course still a lot to go, but this was one that is brand new, mint, latest updates on the disc. For Arkham Knight, it is a download code, so unfortunately that's no bueno for me. But cool to have this, I guess. And I love the cover art with the 3 different Batman game covers on there. So I'm a sucker. What can I say? And that's it. Yeah, that's it. Hopefully, next episode I'll be showing off the Switch 2. If not, you know what happened. Let's go ahead and move on to what have I been playing this past week. Do you like jazz? Well, how about Elden Ring Nightreign instead? So Elden Ring Nightreign just came out on Friday, and it's a silly little game. It's a silly little tough game. The weird thing is that Callus and Greedy and I were going to all play on Saturday, right? And that did happen, right? But before that, I wanted to do like a trial run of the game, see what was up. There's obviously a tutorial and whatever. So I did all that, and then I was like, I might as well just dick around, see how it goes. I match made with 2 other random people, and we went through the first night of the game, and the end of the first night is the 3-headed dog boss that can sometimes split into 3 different dogs. This is all stuff that I've talked about during the beta, so I don't want to rehash too much, but it essentially works almost like Fortnite, obviously, with a ring of fire closing in on you in intervals, I will say. So it does start off and give you a bit of time before it starts moving, and then it will move to a smaller circle. And then once it gets to the smaller circle, it'll give you a little bit of time again, and then it will quickly close in. So the game does require you to be really speedy, but that's not to say that you shouldn't stay around and kill some enemies for XP and stuff like that. You should definitely do that because you're going to need it. But essentially, the first run that I did of the game, it was random people with me. We got all the way to the final first boss. There's 3 nights. Night 1 or day 1 is a pretty quick, pretty easy night. You beat a boss, and then day 2 happens. Enemies get a little bit tougher. The ring is a little bit quicker to shrink. Blah blah blah. You fight an even tougher boss, and then day 3 is technically not even a day. You go into this goopy puddle, and then you beat the main boss of the expedition. They call it expeditions. And so I got all the way to that final boss of the expedition, and we beat it. And I was like, "Oh, is this game easier than I thought it would be, or maybe I just got the best luck ever? I don't know." But I did get through to the end of the wolf expedition, and I beat it. And I'm able to choose any other boss that I want to at this point. And I was like, "Oh, okay. So Greedy and Callus and I, we should be able to do this no problem, right? Because we're actually working together. We're actually able to talk to each other. Actually be able to do things." I don't know what happened, but Callus and I, we had such bad luck throughout most of our runs of the game. We did get to the final boss once, but we were just having such trouble. Even on our final attempt, we felt like we had a really good run going, but it ended up being squashed in the end by the Fell Omen. And then Greedy joined us after a little while. And we just couldn't get anything going. It was cursed run after cursed run, and it is a very much a randomness factor to this game. You're not always going to get the same gear. You're not always going to get the same upgrades. You're not always going to get the same enhancements to your character. Leveling up will work mostly the same, but everything else is all random chance. The drops and whatnot, and what bosses you find and what areas you go to. A lot of times it's very random. Now, there are some areas that pop up that are recognizable over and over again. Like there's this area with the fire monks inside it. There's an area with the white dudes with their trumpets. There's always going to be like a church that you can upgrade your flask in. There's always going to be a random merchant or several merchants around, so you can buy things from them and upgrade your weapons if you have smithing stones. But there's there's a lot of randomness to it. Like you're not always going to get the same evangel every time you go into the world. You're not going to get the same configuration of buildings or landscapes. It's always changing. And even though I haven't gone into the second or third boss fights yet because I want to work with my friends to get it all done, I think it's the same way in those ones where it's of course a different area. Like I think I saw in a quick little snapshot on Twitter when I was just like on the homepage, someone was in like the Volcano Manor type area, and there was obviously different enemies. There was a different environment completely than the first area, which is mostly like that the first area in Elden Ring. What's it called? It's been a minute. Limgrave? Yeah, Limgrave. So getting used to how the game works is already difficult enough, but for some reason, like when Greedy and Callus and I were playing, like we just could not get any. We could not even get to the final. Like I think we got to the final boss once with Greedy and Callus combined. But like yeah, I mean, like I felt like we were just woefully unprepared, even though we got through the entire other 2 days, and I think the game maybe isn't clear enough on how much you need the level or how like. Because I mean, we'll be like one-shotting enemies or whatever. Like we'll also have like a pretty decent boss fight, right? But for some reason, like we get to that final boss and he was just overly tanky and whatever. So I just felt like maybe we didn't get the good RNG where it's like, okay, well you found enough enemies, you fought enough bosses, you did enough of this or that. But even with good RNG, sometimes you can still be out of reach for whatever reason. And I think another thing, too, that's happened is I'm just not finding the character that I'm clicking with right now. I've cycled through most of them that you have available. So far, I've gotten the farthest and beat it with the Raider, but I don't really like the Raider. It's one of those things where it's like his special ultimate move is actually quite bad. Like, it's just he pulls up like this tombstone up from below him, and you do like a jumping attack off of it. The tombstone doesn't even do anything. It doesn't radiate health. It doesn't, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't have poison mist. Nothing. You just jump off of it, or you can climb on top of it and jump off of it multiple times. And I just feel like it's such a waste of a special ability. Like it has no use outside of that one, like jumping attack and then slamming down the enemy. His lighter special move is like this stun move, which does work pretty well. Like I do use that a lot, but I just feel like the Raider, like even though I went the farthest with him, I just feel like, yeah, maybe wasn't my favorite of the group. Same can be said for the Guardian, which is the hawk guy with a shield and a lance. And like even though I enjoy playing as the character, I think he's a good tank build, and he has a lot of stamina and health. His special move with he gets a gust of wind going. It's fine. I don't think it does enough damage in my opinion. And then his big move, which is like he goes up into the air and then strikes down. That's pretty good. It also does like a protective shield around your allies for a little while. I mean, he's more of I guess I like him a little bit more than the Raider. The rest of the characters, like the Duchess, I enjoyed using the Duchess. She's the one that does a lot of like dagger usage and stuff like that. She has the special ability that will replay what the enemy just did, which can cause extra damage. And then also she has the ability to make your allies go invisible, which is also a decent moveset as well. I mean, I might try to use her again next time we play. It's not really my usual play style for these types of games, but I mean, it is a different, like this game is a different beast. Like I said before, getting used to the controls it's pretty tough already. But having to like get used to a character or maybe a couple characters, because who knows who's going to want to use who, can also be a bit tough as well. I mean, the game in general is difficult, much like the original Elden Ring. And I know there's people who have already gone through the entire game. They've beaten all the bosses. They've done everything that they possibly can, right? And I get it, to those people who live, breathe, and die by Souls games and Elden Ring, this is probably a lighter experience all around. But even then, like they'll still get screwed over by RNG. It's not like they got through the game super quickly just by chance. They still need to overcome a lot of different various RNG mechanics. But like I said, like these people live, breathe, and die by Elden Ring. Like I follow a couple of Elden Ring YouTubers just because it's fun to watch them go through with different mods or different restrictions on their characters. And I think 2 out of the 3 have already put out videos saying, I beat all 8 bosses in Elden Ring, and this was my journey. And it's like, that's great. It makes me feel kind of inadequate, but that's great. Yeah, but the gameplay is a bit different from Elden Ring and whatnot. Obviously, the graphics are very similar, and a lot of the builds that you acquire in the game kind of mirror some things that you can do in Elden Ring, but every character is different. They all have their own unique stuff going on. They also have their own unique fighting style at times as well. Like the Raider swings his heavy weapons differently than the first like basic character can with the longsword. Even if you pick up the same weapon as them, they have different animations. Obviously, the spellcaster and the archer and stuff like that, those are very unique builds that have very unique things going on. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, okay, this is like good, I'm enjoying the game for the most part, but it much like any roguelite, it gets a bit annoying when things just don't seem to be going your way over and over and over again, especially after you've had a taste of that victory. Beating that first boss was no easy feat, but the fact that like I had such an easier time doing that on my first run of the game and then getting slaughtered when playing with my friends, it doesn't make much sense to me. So we'll obviously we'll keep playing it. Like, it's not like we're gonna drop the game or anything like that. But it is one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm a bit annoyed with the game right now, but there's a lot of games that I started off annoyed with, but I ended up really enjoying. Chivalry 2 was one of those games where I started off and it was just a bit annoying because of the way that it starts off, but by the end of the game, I absolutely adored it. So we'll see what happens. I will update you all when the time comes. But as of right now, Elden Ring Nightreign, it is like a thumbs up. Like, I am enjoying my time. I think that's a very cool concept, especially in this world of Elden Ring. But it's also a bit frustrating. It's a bit frustrating, especially after having, like I said, a win like I did like on my first run. It's just hard. It's like, why can't we get back to that point? And it's kind of it's just in the back of my mind as we play the game. I haven't tried going through anything solo yet. I do know that they are planning on doing some buffs for you and debuffs for enemies in the game for solo runs. There's going to be an update releasing next week for that. So I don't know if I should hold off doing that just because they're going to completely change around the system. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Next up, I played To a T, which is a new game by the guy who did Katamari Damacy and the rest of the Katamari series. So you kind of know what to expect going in. It's going to be a bit of a wacky, wild experience. And as you may or may not know, you play this little kid who is stuck in a T pose and cannot move out of a T pose. And I thought that I was going to be enjoying it more. It is starting off quite slow, in my opinion. There's I think I'm like 4 chapters in at this point, and there just really hasn't been anything happening. Like, they've been setting up a lot and doing some cool, like some fun things here and there, but it is starting off a bit like it's almost like it's dragging its feet. Like, here's the concept, here's the basics, but I really wish it was more set up like Katamari Damacy, where it just kind of throws you into it. It goes, okay, here's the training mission or level, and boom, go do your thing. I wish that it was kind of more like that in To a T. Obviously, it's more story-driven than something like Katamari Damacy or We Love Katamari. So obviously, it's going to be a completely different vibe for the most part. But I was hoping for it to be a bit quicker with its story and a bit more snappy with its gameplay. Because right now, even though it's fun and I do enjoy it, I think the music's great. I think the vibes are immaculate, and I think that in general, it's got a good aura around it. I just feel like in these first like 3 chapters, just starting the 4th chapter, it could pick up the pace a little bit, right? It could do a bit more, but I mean, like I like the graphic style. I love the music. I think that in time the gameplay will be what I want it to be. And it seems like it has a pretty good sized open world map for you to explore eventually. But it's just a bit restrictive right now with these first 3 missions. But I think it's got that Katamari charm to it. There's lots of wacky things, lots of wacky characters. It's got the I've said this a couple times now. Fun graphic style, fun music style as well. Fun music in there as well. It's on Game Pass if you want to check it out there. I think that's worth trying at least. It is one of those games where you kind of just have to have faith in the developer behind it because they've put out plenty of good stuff in the past. Yeah, just be aware. It does have a bit of a slow open to it. And we'll see how it goes once I finish it up, which I'm hoping to have it finished by next week. We'll see what happens, though. I said the same thing about Doom: The Dark Ages. Then my computer was at the shop for like several weeks or a week. Speaking of Doom, I have been playing more Doom: The Dark Ages. I'm going a bit slower than I was expecting to get through it. It's not that I'm not enjoying it. I think the main thing is like I do play a lot towards night, and I'll either play like Call of Duty or Doom at night. And both games kind of take a lot out of you just because it's a lot of visual flair, it's a lot of stuff going on, lots of things you need to constantly be on the lookout for. But also Doom has this really great level design, which they lifted from 2016 and Doom Eternal, where the levels are bigger than they look. You know, like there is a straight path, sure. Like you obviously can go around these areas and not look for anything if you don't want to. You're going to miss a lot of upgrades in gold, but I digress. I think that Doom: The Dark Ages does a great job with its level design, having to be layered and having like little nooks and crannies that hide things, or maybe there's a breakable wall that you can't really see. It's like kind of obscured, but you can break through it. Or there's a climbable area or a box you can move, and or a key you can find, the secret key to get you through the bonus doors. I think in general, like they did a great job with that. I also think they did a great job with the vibe. I think the vibe is immaculate in this game. The soundtrack is great in the game. And I think the gameplay is really good too. And I think the weapon variety is also very good as well. Like there is a distinct difference between several weapons in the game, even weapons that are on the same in the same class. Like I was talking about it, I think it was last week or the week before that, where you have like the rail spike gun or whatever, which fires really fast. And then on the same button, if you press F on the keyboard, it will switch to the other version of the weapon, which is like the spike thrower. And that shoots really slow, but it has more powerful spikes to it. So it's relatively the same gun. It's just a very different configuration. Same thing with the shotguns. You have like the regular shotgun that's a bit lighter in damage, but can fire faster, especially if you give it the 3-burst mode, which is what I did for it. Or you can use the big boomstick that shoots one shot, then you got to reload the shells, but it's very, very powerful. Same thing, you have like a grenade launcher that you get later in the game, and then you also on the same button have a rocket launcher. They take different ammo, but they have a similar effect of just explosions. One's more of a pinpoint explosion, the other one is more of a wide-reaching explosion. Same thing with the plasma guns. One plasma gun is a very fast-shooting, like SMG type. The other one is a bit more slower, but has a bit more powerful of a shot that can electrocute enemies. And they all have their uses. One of my favorite guns right now is one where you charge up the ball and chain, and it shoots out, and it like smacks into the enemy. I thought that was a very fun. I think that's a very fun weapon. Especially there's an upgrade you can get for it, where if you parry something, it'll automatically charge it, so you don't have to hold down the button and then shoot it. So that's pretty cool. There's also a gun where it just crushes up skulls and shoots them in like a wide range. And that's great for taking down like the little fodder enemies. But there's a different version of that gun that you get later on that does a more concise spread, closer spread. And I think that's my new favorite gun, honestly. It rips and tears like no other. So yeah, like I think there's a great variety of weapons in there. great usage of like upgrades, stuff like that. Obviously there's a couple different upgrades. Some paths are different. Also the different like shield techniques that you can have as well. Like obviously there's the regular parry, but then there's also like a rune that makes the parry into an explosive, or there's another one that shoots out little magic arrows that shoot out after you do a perfect parry. The one that I'm using right now, which I just got, I'm trying to remember what it does. I can't remember what it does right now, but I am enjoying that one too. Once I start up the game again, I'll remember what it is, of course. But and there's like 4 of those different things you can get. So there's not only a good variety in weapons, but also a good variety in the shield techniques and things you can do with that. There's also different melee options as well. So you have your fists, you have a ball and chain like flail, mace, or whatever you want to call it. I haven't unlocked the final thing yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be something pretty cool. There's these sections where you go through the level with a mech or with a dragon or just on the ground or a combination of both. And I thought that those levels were really good. Like, I think I remember a video by someone who was kind of concerned that like, oh, the dragon doesn't feel great, and I hope there's not too many missions with a dragon. I don't know. I thought the dragon was kind of cool. I especially liked the versatility of like the open world that they had built for it. I think that like they could have gone overboard and had the dragon in like every other level, right? Or the mech in every other level. But they are being reserved about it. They're using them at these moments where, even though you're playing with the mech again, there's something different going on. Like you have a different weapon or you have different enemies to fight. Same thing with the dragon. Like, yeah, you do the section where you take out these ships and you have to do like these dodges and stuff like that to take them out. The next section, not exactly, like there's some similarities, of course, but it's not exactly the same. There's something different going on. There's something new going on. So yeah, that's the thing about the game. It seems to be constantly changing things up, evolving things, and that's what I like, especially in first-person shooters, because first-person shooters, much like GoldenEye Rogue Agent, can become a bit stale as they go along because it is a lot of the same. You're shooting the same enemies, you're shooting the same blah blah blah. Doom: The Dark Ages is changing up those configurations pretty nicely. It's changing up the level designs and the different areas you go to. It's not just hell. You're like in like a medieval castle. You're in like a hellish landscape. You're in like the fields outside the castle. You are in a swamp. You're in a whatever. There's so many different vibes, and one thing that I will say that is a bit of a critique for like Doom 2016 or even Doom Eternal is that the game's environments don't change that much. You're either on Mars or you're on desolated Earth, right? There's really no in between. And in this game, the environments are changing quite a lot, and it's very nice to see, because sometimes, once again, things can get kind of stale if you're just looking at the same environment while killing the same enemies. And in Doom: The Dark Ages case, that's not the it's different. It's not the same environments and it's not the same enemies, even though they are the same enemies per se, but they do seem to like adding in either like a champion enemy or just a different group of enemies with different configurations. They've been sprinkling them in pretty nice throughout the game. So I am very happy with Doom: The Dark Ages, and I think that if you haven't played it yet, you're missing out on a great experience. If you loved Doom 2016 but weren't as into Doom Eternal like myself, this one is very much like Doom 2016, more so like Doom 2016. Yeah, I'm just having a great time with it. So, and like I said, I'm playing through it a bit slowly. Like I'm only on chapter like 13 now. So, I was hoping to have the game done before Nightreign came out. Obviously that didn't pan out, and I also didn't want to like cram and just like do a bunch of levels in a row. Like I wanted to play it at my own pace and make sure that I was combing the different levels, because that's one of my favorite things about these modern Doom games is the fact that these levels do have such verticality. They do have all these little nooks and crannies to search for things in. And I think you can go back through the levels after you're done with all your stuff, so it'll make exploration a bit easier. But I'm not even thinking about the end of the game. I'm not even thinking about that stuff right now. I'm just having a good time going through it, fighting a couple bosses here, fighting through enemies here, doing some dragon stuff here, and plowing through some enemies, ripping and tearing. Call of Duty Season 4 is out right now, and there are 2 new guns to collect in the Season Pass, Season Pass, whatever they call it, the Black Cell season or whatever. And I gotta say, like, the 2 weapons that they give you are actually both pretty good. Last time there was a pretty good the CR is pretty good, but the other 2 guns that they give you They like one. I think one was like a sniper rifle, and the other one I think it was an SMG. I just didn't feel like they were worth it. This time around, though, I think both weapons are very much worth it. The new SMG, it's pretty quick to kill. It's got a really fast reload on it just from its base magazines, and it's got actually pretty decent iron sight to it as well. But of course, you want to, add things to it. There is a FAMAS type weapon that's later in the battle pass. If you buy the Black Cell edition, which I'm not endorsing, but if you do that, Greedy Waffles taught me this last time there was a season. You can do an instant tier unlock and get an entire page unlocked, and then go through that page and get the new gun right away. So that obviously helps out to get the guns faster. But the new FAMAS type weapon is called like the FFAR. It is pretty much the FAMAS from the old days, except it has a hell of a kick to it. So obviously, using the weapon and getting attachments to help with that kick is paramount to using it effectively. But once you do that, he said do. It's very good. It's pretty much like the FAMAS from Black Ops 1, and I love that. It takes 2 shots to kill in hardcore, which is not like the best thing ever. A lot of assault rifles, like the CR and the AK and the AMES and whatever, they usually kill in 1 hit or like 1.5 hits, if you want to call it that. But the FAMAS, this FAMAS type gun does take 2 shots to kill for an assault rifle, which is not going to be meta, but it is fun to just use in general. And I think that the fun factor of a gun outweighs the potential for massive amounts of killing, I guess you could say. You're going to win most gun matches, no matter what gun you're using in hardcore, especially if you get the jump on someone. But, in the case that you are a one-on-one with someone and they have like the Scyther or whatever that does kill in 1 hit, you're going to be you're probably going to die in that scenario. But it's still fun to use, and I like it has some very unique attachments to it, or unique looking attachments, which is cool. The new map that they added, which is like this jail cell or prison break type thing, kind of sucks. There's lots of different ways to attack, which is like, oh, that should be good, right? It makes for a lot of corner camper situations, and I was just not having fun with the map when I was testing it out. I think there's a 24/7 playlist for it. Yeah, I didn't like the overall layout of it, and this is a unique map from Black Ops 6, and it seems like most of the maps that are designed for Black Ops 6, minus like 1 or 2, have just been ass. Like they have dropped the ball with this multiplayer map design so hard this time around. It's not even funny. Like the base maps from the base version of the game are already like mostly bad enough, but they keep adding in these maps that are just like not good. Some of the smaller maps I do enjoy, like there's like this mosh pit for small maps, and I like most of the maps in those. But like the regular maps, just a lot of them just are annoying or bad, and they've added in a couple of maps that have not been fan favorites, like Hetekia or whatever it's called. It has like this sci-fi mansion in the middle with a bunch of like spinning cars and stuff like that. Not great. Not a great map from Black Ops 3, I think it was. And it definitely does not play well in Black Ops 6. So, yeah. That's still my complaint from Black Ops 6. But it's crazy that I'm still playing it, it came out in October. So I'm playing it like a year later, like half a year later, which is not normal for the modern Call of Duty games. A lot of times I will play them. I'll enjoy most of them. But then I'll drop them pretty quickly. Especially when more things start coming out. But this has been like the first Call of Duty that I've actually been playing pretty consistently since its release. And I've actually been buying the season passes, which I did not do in the past. And I think it's mostly because it's free on Xbox Game Pass or no additional cost on Game Pass. So I think that's what's helping me outweigh the cost for the season pass for each season. But I'm also still having a good time with it. Like obviously, people that are in the game are gonna be annoying at times for sure. Whether they're just camping or they're spawn killing or whatever, you're gonna get those matches. but then you get like a match that's like really, really good and or really balanced, and you feel good about it again. And yeah, they're still they're still churning out content, so it's not like they've completely abandoned this game. I mean, if not for the leaks, I would say like they could definitely keep this going for another year. Like I feel like Black Ops 6, the movement and the amount of content they've been cramming into it has been great, and I feel like they could keep this going for another full year. But you know they're not going to. Xbox needs the money, right? They're boohoo crying. You know they need to release another Call of Duty. And I'm sure that the next Call of Duty will probably release on the Switch too. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Black Ops 6 is way better than Modern Warfare 3, the new Modern Warfare 3. Like that Modern Warfare was ass. I played that for probably less than a month. I got through the campaign and I was trying to play the multiplayer, but it just sucked ass. So I'm glad that this one is good, and it's been clicking with me. So there you go. Call of Duty Season 4 gets a thumbs up for the guns, at least. It has, and the season pass has like a prison theme to it, which is pretty cool too, I guess. Just that new map is not great, and the new modes they're fine, whatever. All right, Greedy Waffles and I finished Revenge of the Savage Planet, which I thought was a pretty fun time. Like for a crafting survival game that has a bit of a story to it, and lots of fun little side content things to do, lots of things to collect and scan. I thought it was great. It was a great time. We really enjoyed our time with it. I actually finished it on stream, but I didn't mark it as complete on stream because it was only one stream for it, a couple hours. I felt like they did a great job of setting this game up, having like the good story to it, and then also having a very fun like first planet to explore and more things to see as you go through the game. And as you go through the game and unlock more things, it's almost like a Metroidvania in a few ways, where you go back and you can go through the toxic smog, or now you can grapple onto things, or now you can blah blah blah, whatever. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, along with like the open world aspect of it as well. I felt like they really did a great job designing this open world, designing all these different creatures that you fight and find. Also, just like keeping things fresh on each planet, having different vibes and different configurations. Like the first planet is a lush jungle environment, swampy jungle environment. The second planet is an arid desert. The third planet is a very big safari planet. The fourth planet is like this ice planet with fire and lava along with ice. So it's these two different things, and also has like these floating mountainous regions that you can climb up as well. So they did a great job with that. I think they also did a great job with the collectibles in the game. Not only do they give you health upgrades, but they also give you upgrades for your character, so like better weapon damage and stuff like that. And there's also lots to scan in the game as well. I really wish I could have scanned everything in the game. It's just not going to happen. There's too much to scan, and when you miss something, it could just be like one tiny thing somewhere, and I just don't feel like running around trying to find that. But yeah, I think that the game does a great job. I love the art style for it, the cartoony art style. I like the humor in the game was pretty good. And in the end, I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. Enjoyable time. It's on Xbox Game Pass. Definitely check that out. I gave it a thumbs up. I thought it was very good. Finally, for this section, we played GoldenEye Rogue Agent on stream. I decided to use this game as the test game for streaming. I had streamed a putting the games on my game shelf thing that I talked about last week, but I hadn't really played a game yet. So this week I decided to play a game, and we played GoldenEye for the whole week, pretty much. And as much as I like the game, I can also agree that there are some things that I can complain about with it for sure. I think the main thing is there's really not a good variety of enemies. You do fight a lot of the same enemies throughout the entire game, which does make things get a bit stale. What I do really like about it, though, is the akimbo guns. You use akimbo guns throughout the entire game, or you can use akimbo guns, and there's a lot of different weapons to combine with this akimbo style. So you could have like a detonator gun in this hand, which shoots a sticky grenade, and you blow it up. And in the other hand, you can have like a shotgun, or you can have a SMG, or you can have a poison gun that stuns the enemy. So you can stun the enemy and then hit them with the other gun that you have in your hand. So there's a lot of possibilities for that. There's also two-handed weapons like the assault rifle, and later on you get like this insta-kill laser gun, which is very annoying to fight against and use. But I thought for the most part, like I thought the level design was decent, but I felt like it wasn't fleshed out enough. I feel like the objectives are very bare bones. It's mostly just fighting through corridors and around cover, and then getting a checkpoint or getting like a really solid. Press this one button at the end of the level, and you did it. You did it, GoldenEye. So I thought that like okay, so they like the level is fun in general, but there could have been more to it. And the same thing can be said for the story. Like I really enjoyed the story for this one. I know that a lot of people are kind of like iffy on that because it uses the name GoldenEye, but James Bond is only in it for one mission, and the golden eye is very literal. You get a golden eye implanted in your head, and it gives you special abilities like being able to use the Force to throw people around or see through objects and stuff like that, which I really enjoy that stuff too. But I just feel like, damn, if they could have just like integrate this a bit more into the combat, like it would have been so much so like a B tier, at least maybe even A tier. And the story is fun too. Like you're fighting alongside all these classic James Bond villains like Oddjob and Goldfinger and Pussy Galore and stuff and others, which I felt was pretty fun. And the main antagonist throughout most of the game is Dr. No. So you're combining all these like classic James Bond villains who are being voiced by, I believe, either people doing a really damn good job of voicing the characters or the person who portrayed them. So, they did a great job with that. And I feel like the story, if it was just fleshed out maybe a bit more context during missions and stuff like that, it probably would have also elevated the game a bit too. It seemed like they wanted to do a sequel to this game with the final scene in the game being a teaser, but that never happened, obviously. And I feel like they had a lot of ideas that they were waiting to like implement in the sequel. Probably because of time restraints and just like it being something off the wall, 007 adjacent. They obviously the publisher didn't want to take too much of a risk, but it's a shame though. It is a shame because I feel like this game, if it did get a sequel, I think that sequel would have been like that would have been the one to really elevate it, and it probably would have been on PS3 at that point, and it might have been the game. It might have been like Rogue Agent being like a nice little appetizer, and then Rogue Agent 2 or whatever they would call it being the cream of the crop. But I think most people are turned away by the fact that it's named GoldenEye. It has to live up to that GoldenEye status of not just the movie but the game that everyone loves. And also like having James Bond being in the first level and pretty much just dying right away, that also rubs people the wrong way a lot. And I understand where people's criticisms come from, but I think that the main criticism for this game, for me personally, is just the fact that there's a lot of things that I feel like they could have fleshed out more to really make it a really good 007 adjacent thing. But as it stands, it's just kind of like an average 007 adjacent thing. It doesn't beat out Nightfire or I don't know, From Russia with Love even. But it's still a fun time. Like I would definitely recommend going through it. It does have some fun stuff in there, and I gave it a 3 out of 5, a high C tier. I said this is a high C tier. I think it's a good game. It's worth playing, but it's not going to make your eyes pop out of the sockets and go whoa. All right, let's move on to what's in the news. All right, first up, we have a bit of a continuation from last week. Randy Pitchford, he can't seem to, I don't know, he just can't seem to really put out a solid statement. Now, this is a guy who is the CEO of a company, and he's very forward-facing. He doesn't hide behind, like, a showman or whatever. He doesn't hide behind anything. He's very much out there and a public figure. And his comment from last week that I talked about, where he said, real fans will make it work, really rubbed, I think, everyone the wrong way, and it really showed just how disconnected he is from the gaming zeitgeist as a whole. And you can see that throughout his ramblings on Twitter, because they are very much ramblings. Right now, I'm just going to say it, like, this dude needs to like either step down or take a back seat, because his comments and statements are not helping anything. Even though he put out a bit of an essay about his comment from last week, he's also doubled down on a couple things as well. So I'm just going to go through these and, we'll talk about them. So in a reply to some random person on Twitter saying, I don't know, fuck $80 games, they were a real fan, or I'm sorry, they say that they're a real fan, they purchased all the games and the DLCs from the series and stuff like that, 100% of them, but he ends it by saying, no fanboying will ever make up for your greed. And this person posted this on May 20th, which was last week. This week, about 6 hours ago that I'm recording this, Rany Pitchford goes out on Twitter and finds this person's comment, finds this person's tweet, and says this in their comment section. Sounds like you're a real fan to me. Stoked to have you playing our games. I've been working on Borderlands games for 20 years. So, yeah, it sucks things are getting more expensive, but I think we're all going to have to accept that the industry is moving in that direction. If that's the breaking point for you, I guess you'll miss out on games that go with the new pricing. It's not my call, but I know everyone will find out what the price will be when pre-orders open up, which will be coming soon. I really want everyone to play it, so I am rooting that the game gets to be considered before the whole industry shifts pricing. It's our best game yet, and worth it no matter what it ends up being priced at. But you have to make your own decision. I hope you love it. We're all working very hard to make it awesome, and it's in great shape. The best position I think we've ever been in before launch. Keep watching the campaign as we go closer to launch, and let me know what you end up deciding to do when pre-orders open up. The price is set, and then the game will eventually come out. Cheers. So it just seems like a real ramble, like predictive text at some points. I don't know why he brings up the fact, like, I've been working on these games for 20 years. Like, yes, great. Congratulations, you've been working on the games. But do you not also see how bloated these games are getting? Like how expensive these games are getting, being made for? Maybe instead of... I just feel like there's got to be a way to, like, tone down the price of this. And I'm not saying to, like, lay people off or anything like that. Like, maybe we're just pushing too much money, funneling too much money into these games. Maybe something that could be made for like $10 million is being made for $100 million. I feel like there's got to be some way that we can tone this down, bring this back to something that's more manageable, where we don't need to increase these prices. And like I said last week, like, if you make the game $70, it's going to sell. Like, $70 is supposed to be the new norm. Like, it's only a couple years now, 4 or 5 years, that we've had games be at $70, and I think people are coming around to accepting that at this point. But the fact that Borderlands 4, the game that captured the hearts of a lot of people, including myself, with its fun gameplay and mechanics and gun stuff, gun variety, the game that has been priced very fairly throughout its entire lifespan, is going to be literally the first major game to be officially $80. Because you can say, oh, Mario Kart World is $80. Technically, right now, it's $50 if you buy it in the bundle, and I think Nintendo did that on purpose. They put it as in the bundle for $50, knowing that more people are going to buy the bundle because of that. I think they made Mario Kart World $80 to then bring it down in price once the bundles are sold and about a half a year or so goes by. I think they'll bring the price down to what it should be, which is like $60 or $70. And he says in here, this is the way that the industry is moving. But right now, there's only one game out there that is priced at $80, and that is Mario Kart World, which is being sold for $50 in a bundle. I'm not trying to defend Nintendo in any way or form right now. I'm using this as an example to show you, like, is the industry going towards $80 games? Like, maybe GTA will, and maybe it'll surpass that next year with an even higher price tag. It's hard to say because that isn't here and now. What's here and now is Borderlands 4 coming out this year, and Borderlands 4 possibly being charged at $80, which is not an industry norm at this point. If they want to be the bad guys and really kick this off, like go like, oh yeah, hey EA, hey, here's 2K, we're selling our game for $80. Guess what? The next basketball game, $80. Guess what? The next Battlefield game, $80. Hey, guess what? This will be a chain reaction, obviously. It's crazy because there's a lot of games out there right now that are $70 that really don't feel like a $70 experience. As much as I really enjoyed Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, getting the two names, Crack in Time and Rift Apart mixed together. As much as I enjoyed that game, that was not a $70 experience. The graphics were great and the gameplay was fun and the story was great, but I did not feel like I got my $70 worth out of that game after all was said and done. Nowadays, when I buy a $70 game, whether it's what's the last $70 game that I bought? It's I feel like there was one recently. Oh, Assassin's Creed. Like, did I feel like I got my $70 out of that game? No. Right now, I don't feel like I have, and I don't think I ever will feel like I've gotten my full price tag out of that game. But that just goes to show that, $70 games, they're just becoming like the norm, and now we need to boost this up to $80? I don't know, man. I'm just saying, if Randy's listening to this, I think the norm is $70, and I think if you sell the game for $70, it'll make back its money. But if you sell it at $80, maybe some of the costs will be offset by less people buying it, but being a higher price tag, sure. But I think that if you sell it for $80, I don't think it's going to make its money back, at least not as quickly. It may make its money back over in the long run with sales and stuff like that, but for an opening price of $80, it just I don't think that I personally, as a person who's been reporting on the news for quite some time now with both this podcast and Yemmy Cast, I have seen the gradual nature of the market change as I've talked about things. This bump, I'll call it, from 70 to 80 is very sudden, and I feel like it is more greed-centered right now than necessary. Because when games turn to $70, we all agreed, budgets are bigger, yes, but the games will sell. I think the problem is maybe that a lot of these developers and publishers are scared because there's been a couple of flops recently that have been priced at $70 or $60. The latest one being Concord, the one before that, Skull and Bones, huge disappointment. Like $70 game, quadruple A game. I mean that CEO got shit for calling it a quadruple game. He still gets shit for that. That is not a quadruple A game, and I did definitely. I mean that game should have been $50 at most. So I mean, yeah, I think if you put out a game for $80, there's going to be so many more expectations on top of expectations for the game already, right? It needs to really be packed with content, packed with a long story, a nice open world, replayability out the wazoo. We know that Borderlands covers a lot of those things already, but will it be enough? Will the story be good enough? Will the variety be good enough? Will the guns be good enough? Will the story be good enough? We don't know yet. And I feel like because of Borderlands 3 and how that was received and has been received throughout the years, people are going to be a bit more apprehensive when going into Borderlands 4. Do I love the Borderlands series? Hell yes. I love the Borderlands series. Borderlands 3 was a bit of a low point. I will be honest. I will agree with a majority of people here. Because even though I initially enjoyed it, on replays, the cracks showed very, very quickly. I enjoyed Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I thought that was a fun little spin-off. And I did go back and check. It was $60 when it came out, so it wasn't $50. So it was $60. But I feel like even then, they could have easily priced that game as $70 because it came out during that time when games were starting to be $70. But they chose to keep it at $60 because it was a smaller package, a smaller game, but still a good amount of work went into it, right? And that game made back its money. So why couldn't Borderlands 4, one of the biggest series, one of the biggest IPs in the gaming industry? Obviously, it's not going to beat your Grand Theft Autos, your Call of Duties, or whatever's, but it's still a very big IP in the cultural in the video game zeitgeist. So I feel like if you just put this game out for $70, one, it's going to make a lot of people happy. Two, it's going to make a lot of people relieved. And three, it's not going to move that bar that he says has already been moved in the industry. Because I feel like if you look at this from an outside perspective, someone who's not a part of the industry personally, but if you look at it, you go, oh, $80 Mario Kart game. Nintendo's the bad guy here. They're starting this whole thing, right? And you can agree with that statement. But if you look at it from a little bit farther away, you go, oh, they're selling this game in a bundle for $20 off. It's actually only a $50 game, but they're selling Mario Kart World separately for $80. Not a great decision by any means necessary, but I think that they're just doing that so that more people buy the bundle. I mean, that makes sense in my mind. And I for the life of me, I don't understand exactly why they need to make Mario Kart World $80. Maybe we'll find out next week. But as of right now, it still boggles my mind. That being said, and this all coming back around, Borderlands 4 probably should not be $80. Make it $70. Make your money back. Put out good DLC for it. Support the game for the long run. You're going to have those loyal fans stay loyal and be happy. Right now, with everything that Randy Pitchford has been saying, a lot of people who are including long-term fans are disappointed or are angry. Me, myself, I'm a bit disappointed. If it does come out that it's going to be $80, am I going to buy it? I think I will still buy it, but I will not be happy about that. And then that will set a bad precedent, especially if the game doesn't feel like it should be priced at $80. If I play that game and it feels like, let's say it has about the same amount of content as the original Borderlands 2, I will be disappointed because Borderlands 2 was $20 less when it came out and also had like fantastic DLC support throughout its entire lifespan. Borderlands 4, a fresh game for $80. You spend $80 on Borderlands 2's like collector's edition, not collector's edition, but the deluxe edition with all the DLC included back in the day. That felt like a deal. Borderlands 4, just the base game being the same amount of content as Borderlands 2, probably going to be a bit of a whoopsie daisy in my mind. I'm speculating a lot here, of course. And I've also totally just forgotten to keep reading Randy Pitchford's comments. So on May 30th, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is free, and it's still free right now on Epic Games Store. You can get it for free and add it to your Epic Games account forever. You don't need to worry about that. And Randy Pitchford comes out on Twitter and says, for our real fans who may be cost-sensitive, the very awesome, incredibly fun smash hit video game Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is free this week on Epic Games Store. Please enjoy this free gift by grabbing your free copy here free. The one thing that really rubs me the wrong way is he's saying for fans who may be cost sensitive. That is not like, look, I get it. This guy is probably pretty annoyed with all that's going on. He made a quick statement on Twitter last week. It blew up. And it pissed off a lot of people. He's probably pretty annoyed in the background. He's probably just, I mean, sure, he's probably sipping a margarita on a beach, but he's probably pretty annoyed about this. And you can tell because of the words that he's using. He's capitalized free in this post. He's cost sensitive. He's really hyping up the game, the very awesome, incredibly fun smash hit. Saying like, oh, look, we've made good games in the past. You can trust us now. It's like, yes, I mean, look, if you're going to say Borderlands 4 is going to be a fun game, I trust that. I trust that it's probably going to be a fun game. The one thing I don't trust is pricing it at $80 right now, okay? I think that's the disconnect right now. But that is one of the other comments that he made. And then finally, we have the essay. He wrote a large essay in response to a person asking about why the game is going to be priced at $8. I mean, I guess they weren't forward about it. So essentially, Randy Pitchford made a post about some sort of video that he retweeted on Twitter. And people were like, when he woke up the next day, people were in like this big argument about it on the internet. And someone said, I saw something crazy too. A CEO of Gearbox Software made players feel bad and alienated for not wanting to pay $80 for his game. This platform is wild. And it's weird that... I mean, it's a verified user. I don't know if they bought it or whatever. I don't know who this is. Anthony Mirage _. But Randy decided that this would be the comment to bounce off of and write his big statement. And I'm going to try and read this as well as I can. It's a lot of text here, folks. So he starts off by saying, I am sorry that there was a misunderstanding. Which right away... what misunderstanding is there? I guess the misunderstanding is the wording that he used, saying real fans will pay any price for our game or whatever, right? They'll make it work, I should say. I don't want to misquote him. Real fans will make it work. I think that yeah, sure. Is there a misunderstanding there? I mean, it seems pretty cut and dry, but let's continue. The absolute sincere truth is that I don't want anyone to pay any more than they should or are comfortable with, and I always work with the intent and hope that a customer always feels they got the better end of the deal no matter what they pay. Great statement right there. Just use that line. The rest of this, you can just cut, right? That line right there is perfect. It's a great response from a CEO who might not be completely in with the, with the entire conversation here, okay? But it's a great comment from a CEO who is a part of a company that's pretty big that has gone through a bit of a controversy. Just that right there, a good statement, I will say. But he continues. The actual context was that a guy replied to a post about Borderlands 4 on the Nintendo Switch 2, was warning me that the price ended up being $80, the game will fail. What I was trying to do was explain that it wasn't my call, but that if the $10 price increase does happen, since that's obviously where the industry is going, once again, I will reiterate, it does not seem like right now that is where the industry is going. Maybe in a couple years, yes, but definitely not right now. It will be okay, and that Borderlands 4 will be okay because it's a great game, and there are a lot of Borderlands fans who will see the value and want it. Pause. That state of play, I was hyped after seeing that, okay? I will agree with the fact that the game does look fun, it does look great. The price tag is the main issue here. So I think that if he reworded this, he wouldn't even bring up the fact that the game could possibly not be fun or whatever, but let's keep going. I think my trying the shorthand that using the phrase real fans triggered some people, and I saw that it got inflated as if I was making some big statement, in quotations or parentheses. I wasn't. I was just trying to help someone who thought I was sincerely worried about us, who I thought was sincerely worried about us and looking out for us. And I could see that it was being pressed into the idea that I was taking the audience for granted, which is a super shitty look, but it was not at all my intent and does not reflect about how I feel. So that part of the statement is fine in my opinion. Like, I get it. He just made a random reply to someone. Now, whether he felt like that person was being sincere, who asking how if they're gonna stay afloat, like it's Gearbox. I don't think there's any I don't think there's any worry there per se, but you never know. But I think that part of the statement is fine. I don't like the use of words like triggered and like he used before the price sensitive or whatever. Like, I feel like he could take those things out and this would read a little bit better, a little bit more genuine. But it does feel like there's still a bit of angst, still a bit of just hurt feelings mixed in here. He continues, the sincere truth is that I'm grateful that anyone likes our games and humbled that so many fans show up to enjoy and support what we do. As an artist, I don't want prices to go up because I want everyone to have access to what we create. I get that business is a thing and that the market and economy are driving prices up, and sooner or later we're going to have to all accept to that so that the creative engine can make at least as much as it spends to provide us with amazing content. I will go back to saying I don't think games need to be $100 million, $150 million. I think we can go back to smaller budgets to keep the prices of games fair, in my opinion, but that's besides the point. Whatever the case, I'm here to try and entertain people, and my priority has always been to try and add some joy and happiness and creativity to the world. To whatever extent I succeeded at that, I am grateful and honored and take on every effort with passion and humility. May I recommend you consider the people who create entertainment you enjoy are actual real people who sincerely are working to try and make cool stuff. I have dedicated my life to video games as entertainment, and I have made the choice to be accessible on here. I don't want to let edge cases ruin that for a majority of people who find value in using this medium for a positive connection. But I cannot help that there's a part of me that doesn't want to at least try to help those who don't get it to gain some perspective and some dignity in how they choose to interact. I'm not claiming I'm perfect, but I don't deserve any less latitude than anyone else. I choose to think of others with the most amount of charity, and I am often surprised to discover some that jump to the worst possible way to consider a thing as doing that is just counter to my nature. So that whole segment of this post could have been deleted. Obviously this is all his honest thoughts, and like, I'll give Randy some credit for actually like voicing these things, but I don't think these things need to be voiced. That whole section that I just read could be axed from this. There is a great response mixed in here, okay? As I said before, the like first like 3 sentences minus that first short one, good. There's a part in the middle that I was agreeing with. Yes. That whole ending part did not need to be here. Now, as much as I criticize Randy for his comments last week and his new comments this week, yes, he is still a person. He doesn't deserve like hate comments and threats and whatever. I would never condone that sort of thing. But I think it is a positive thing to interact with a CEO who is very forward-facing and tell them how you are feeling. Like, hey, $80, I don't like that. I probably won't buy the game if it's $80. Telling them that on a platform where they are definitely interacting with people, it can be a positive thing. It can show them how many people are not liking this decision or possible decision because they haven't announced the price yet. So I think that bringing these concerns to the forefront on various, sure, maybe not every post needs to be littered with, hey, bring the price down comments, but I think bringing that to the forefront for people like Randy Pitchford or other forward-facing CEOs or people who are in charge of big corporations is a good thing, because these people can see how much backlash there is. Now, of course, Twitter is not my favorite place ever, okay? I don't like Elon Musk. I don't like the platform anymore. It's filled with bots and just the most heartless people out there. But there are still genuine people on this platform who are genuinely concerned and or afraid that they're going to make this game $80. Me, myself, I have already kind of somewhat accepted that they're most likely going to be making it $80. And as I said last week, I don't think Randy Pitchford is a saint or a hero for bringing this up and preparing people for that. Like, oh, he's such a good guy. He prepared us for $80. No, I think that he does need to continue. If he's not doing this already, he needs to push back against the publisher putting this at $80. I think since the fan base is so large, since the fan base loves Borderlands in general, since that state of play was so well received, he could definitely push for a $70 price tag. Say, hey, well, we might lose a little bit on the bottom line, but this game is going to make us money back at the $70 price tag because so many people are going to be interested in it. So many people are going to be buying it. Now, obviously, publishers are a whole different beast. I'm not in that area of expertise, but I'm sure that they are just kind of sitting there rubbing their hands going, oh, if we make this game $80, we'll make even more money. Like, maybe, probably, but the fact of the matter is like, your player base is your core. Like, Maztec Gaming says this a lot. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. You know, the people who buy your games are the ones who are also essentially paying for your house, paying for your mansion, paying for, whatever. Like, these are the people who you've built your studio on, the people who you've built your IP on. And to not take their comments into consideration in a serious matter could be detrimental to this game in particular, Borderlands 4. And as I've said before, and I will reiterate it here, Randy Pitchford does not deserve hate comments. He does not deserve threats against his life, etc., simply because the game is $80. Does he deserve to be criticized for some things? Yes, obviously. He's done some things in the past, allegedly, that you could say like he deserves to be criticized for. Sure. And this statement that he made last week and some of the things he said today definitely deserves to be criticized for. But I will not condone people going into his comment section and, saying pretty heinous shit, okay? And I think that those comments muddle the true message of what people are trying to bring to him and bring forward to him is the fact that we are afraid and we do not want $80 price games at this point. In 5 years, maybe we will be ready for that. But right now, obviously there's evidence for raising prices of video games, but right now, as a person who's looking in, $80 is not the norm right now. And even like $70 is not entirely the norm. Like, there are $70 games, but it's not the norm. There's still a lot of $60 games coming out. Kazan, the first person Kazan, just came out, $60. The Precinct just came out. I think it's like $30 or something on Steam. There was another game that just came out. Elden Ring Nightreign, $50. I'm sure that budget of that game was pretty high, but they're selling it for $50 because they know that it's like a smaller package in general than something like Elden Ring, which was, I think Elden Ring was $60 when it came out. So I know this is going on for quite some time because I'm very passionate about this. And I hope that Rany Pitchford watches this video and sees it. I guess. I mean, I'm always a bit nervous when a bigwig, watches something like this because I do hope that I've articulated myself well. But I think the bottom line is that this $80 price tag thing is not fun. And I think that his responses have good things inside of them, but they need to be trimmed down. Take out the fat. Take out the woe is me. Take out some of the more like unimportant things in here, because inside of this big long paragraph essay that I read, there are solid points that make sense. But the problem is that he talks too much. Like I said, it's almost like he's using predictive text at some points, like especially at the end. So I feel like if he just concised his thoughts down, maybe thought about it a bit more before sending, pressing the send button, whatever. I think that there is a good response in here somewhere, but you really have to fish for it. And I think that's another thing that's kind of causing people to have a bit of animosity about the whole situation is he keeps being a bit more cryptic about things, or he keeps going on about things that aren't as important as the main thing here. And if he just comes out with a statement and says, look, I'm trying my hardest to make this game $70. I know that I've disappointed you all with my recent comments. I'm sorry about that. Just have an apology. Like, that's really all you need. I'm sorry for what I said about not real fans. Real fans will make it happen. I'm sorry. Real fans will make it happen. And I am trying my hardest to get this game to stay at a $70 price tag. So I think that's really all I need to say. If he says those things, I mean, a lot of people will at least look at that favorably and be like, okay, at least he's trying. Or maybe he's just saying that he's trying. I don't know. That could also be a fine thing as well. At least just saying that you're trying, or just coming out with some sort of apology, just an official statement, not just a reply to someone or whatever. Just like come out with an official statement, being like, "Hey, it's me, Rany Pitchford. I appreciate all of our fans. And I made a mistake. I was too quick with the send button on my tweet, and I didn't think about it fully, and I wasn't really thinking about the whole situation and how it could, how people could perceive it. You don't need to use buzzwords like triggered or price conscious or capitalize or cost sensitive or capitalizing free. Like, you don't need to do those things. If you come out with a genuine response, maybe even a genuine apology, something to show that you are still for the normal gamers out there who are gaming on a budget. I think that yeah, a lot of people will respect that, and a lot of people will be calmed down, and at least they will know that you're working behind the scenes to try and make it as price conscious as you can. Yeah, like I'm a person, I've loved Borderlands from the beginning. I have a Borderlands tattoo. I've bought every single DLC for these games. I've 100%ed several of them, being the pre-sequel, Borderlands 1 and 2. I enjoyed Wonderlands. I thought Wonderlands was a nice little twist on the whole thing. And even though I didn't enjoy Borderlands 3 as much as I was hoping I would at the end of the day, I still think that the gunplay was still fun, and I think the character progression was still cool, and you go to some cool places, and there's a couple cool boss fights in there for sure. But as someone who is a big fan of the Borderlands series, it's just a bit disappointed to see the CEO of the company that works on the game just being a bit dense here and there, just saying the wrong things and just not being as direct as you would want him to be. Obviously it's a tough position to be in as well, because you're crushed between the audience and the publishers, and both of them are kind of like nagging you in each direction. Like, the publisher's saying like, hey, this game should be $80, and the people who you've who are the fans of your game are like, hey, we don't want it to be $80. So you have these two things like constantly bashing you back and forth, and I understand the predicament that Rany Pitchford is in, but being more concise with statements and not allowing things to spiral like they did last week is a great way to help out with the whole situation. Just coming out with a statement saying, I fucked up, I said the wrong thing, blah, blah, blah. Condense, concise, apologetic. That's all I need. And then, like, even though Rany Pitchford won't be the saint, the golden saint, I'll at least have a little bit more respect for him, and certainly I'll believe that he's actually trying to, put down the price in the background. And once again, the Rany Pitchford conversation has gone for way longer than I was expecting, but I think that it was all important to say. Yeah, I think that's good enough for this section. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, the Black Panther game, which was being developed by EA, is now officially being shut down and canceled. This game was going to be an open world adventure game where it would have the Nemesis system in it, in some form, to make it a bit like Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War, which would be kind of cool. Cliffhanger Games was the studio behind the Black Panther project, which was first announced in 2023. The development was led by Kevin Stevens, who had previously worked with Monolith Productions for Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. They had to cancel the project, and then they also shut down the studio behind it, so it's a double whammy here. In a statement made by Laura Maele, she said, "It's hard. Cancellations affect people we've worked with, learned from, and shared real moments with. We're doing everything we can to support them, including finding opportunities within EA, where we've had success helping people land new roles." So I think it's unfortunate because this Nemesis system, it was trademarked by WB Games, and they shut down Monolith Studios, who essentially made that whole system for them. Actually, they did make that whole system for them. And then because of the trademark on the Nemesis system, you can't have like another studio do a similar thing because, oh, that's trademarked. You can't do that. So having the head of Monolith Productions working on this, they probably could have skirted around that trademark. But they decided to shut down Cliffhanger Games. They shut down the Black Panther game in general. EA says they're going to be focusing more on Battlefield, Skate, The Sims, and Apex Legends going forward, along with Star Wars Jedi, Mass Effect, and Iron Man games. So we'll see what happens. I feel like a Black Panther game could have been pretty cool. I mean, it's a character that, I would say pretty recently became pretty big. I mean, right around the time of that Guardians of the Galaxy movie, like I guess Black Panther was technically after, but Guardians of the Galaxy boosted the Groot love and the Rocket Raccoon stuff, and then the Black Panther being in Civil War and having his own movies and whatnot really propelled him to the top of like a lot of people's heroes lists. It's just fortunate that we couldn't get a Black Panther game. I feel like that could have been pretty cool. Speaking of layoffs, Playtonic Games, best known for their ukulele series, has been hit by layoffs, and they put out a statement this morning saying, "This is one of those messages we never wanted to have to write. We've all seen in recent years how the games industry has been changing, resulting in studio after studio find themselves in situations where they continue to exist. They must make painful decisions that impact the lives of so many individual talented developers. Like others, we've felt the knock-on effect, and after exploring every possible avenue, we've had to make the incredibly heartbreaking decision to say goodbye to some truly brilliant members of Playtonic team. This isn't a reflection of anyone's talent or dedication. The people leaving have poured so much heart, creativity, and care into everything we do. They've helped shape our studio, our games, and our culture, and we're incredibly proud of what we've built together. This isn't simply a difficult moment. It's a period of profound change in how games are created and financed. The landscape is shifting, and with it, so must we." So it's interesting coming off of the Rany Pitchford stuff. He's saying like, oh, the video game culture is shifting to be, $80 games and blah 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 blah, more bloated projects. But here's a more so indie developer or studio or publisher, whatever you call them, who are having to lay people off because they're not making enough money. It's just like one of those things where it's like there's two sides to every coin. On one hand, the big AAA studios, they make a lot of money from their games. They definitely don't need to be laying people off because of how much money they make. Or, well, I mean, maybe I shouldn't make such a bold statement, but still, like, people they make a lot of money from these games, and no matter which way you slice it, these things are going to happen, of course, but not like at the rate that it's happening right now. Like, there's definitely something wrong going on with the gaming landscape. On the other side of this coin, you have Playtonic, who is a smaller studio, who is being affected by this because they don't have the funds to keep all these people on their payroll or whatever, because even though Playtonic has sold very well in the past with Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, and they also turned into a publishing studio, so they're also making money from publishing games. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, well, now it's like, okay, well, what if they made Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, like, I think it was like $30 when it came out. What if they made it 40? Would those people still be employed? Or if this remaster of Yooka-Laylee, if they're probably going to price this at like $40, right? What if they made it 50? Would they be able to keep the people on? It's a weird yin and yang situation that's pretty hard to crack. But as of right now, the number of staff who's been affected hasn't been made public. But I'm sure it's a pretty good chunk of people, all things considered. And MultiVersus has officially shut down on May 30th. The servers officially went offline, and the game is no longer playable online. You still can play it offline if you already have it downloaded, but it has been also delisted from digital stores as well. So there's no way to re-download it if you haven't already downloaded. Actually, if you have already downloaded it, it should still be in your library, but you can't freshly install it as a new account. It's just it's a story of lost potential, because when this game was in beta mode, everyone enjoyed it. I thought it played great. I thought it had a great idea. It was a little bit grindy to unlock new characters, but they had a rotating cast of free characters here and there that were fun. Pretty much when it officially did a 1.0 launch into Season 1 of content, the game felt different. The game was way more monetized. There were so many different currencies for the game. It was one of those things where it just really felt like some bigwig got their fingers into this pie and was like, we need to really make this profitable. We really need profit off of this thing. When it was already doing pretty well for itself. Like, sure, the hype had died down by the time that they took it offline to work on it some more. But I think the fact of the matter is, if it came back and it just kicked the same amount of ass, and it was adding in new characters for, like, I don't know, get a new character like for $10, like the Mortal Kombat characters, I think that people would have been very happy about that. Make it a little bit easier to unlock characters. Make it not such a grind. Have like way less currencies in the game. It could have survived and it could have been very profitable. But they dropped the ball pretty hardcore. So MultiVersus officially gone. And it'll go down in history as one of those games that was just a bit of a missed potential there. Very missed potential. Death Stranding will be getting an anime. It's been officially revealed from Hideo Kojima that he wants to turn the video game into an anime. Not just a movie. They're now making it into an anime. In an interview, he said, I aim to create a Death Stranding that can only be realized through film. One that could win awards at festivals like Cannes Film Festival or Venice Film Festival. In fact, we are also currently working on an anime adaptation. So, not only is he trying to get awards for the gaming industry, but Hideo Kojima was like, hey, I want to tap into that movie market and show market and whatever market to just really cement myself as one of the greatest entertainers of all time. Look, Kojima, I love you. You've already done that. You are already one of the best in the business. You have nothing more to prove. But I guess we'll see what this whole anime has to do and what the movie is going to be like, I suppose. I mean, I guess an anime could work, like an animated TV show type thing could work. I think that the story of Death Stranding, it's long, but there could be a condensed version of that could work in a TV series. As for like a movie, there's a lot going on in this game. I feel like a 2-hour movie might be a bit too short for something like this, but I'm sure they could make it work, and we'll see if they will make it work. But I'm sure that that's way out in the future at this point, and we'll talk about it more once we get more details. And finally, for the news today, Target, along with GameStop, Costco, and Staples, are going to be offering Nintendo Switch 2 consoles and Mario Kart World bundles on June 6th. So if you head to the store early enough, you might be able to actually get a Switch 2 day 2, I guess you could say, or midnight on June 6th to pick up a Switch if you weren't able to get one. They did say while supplies last, it seems like each store is going to have about 30 bundles, 30 consoles. So there's obviously a very limited quantity here. On the Target website, it says you can begin line up in the designated QE location at the entrance of each Target store before stores open on Thursday, June 5th. Target team members will distribute physical or digital tickets, which will reserve your product for purchase. Limited stock is available. Ticketing will take place until all tickets have been claimed or 10 minutes prior to store opening. Ticketed guests will be directed to the electronics area of the store to purchase or pick up their product. Which made me wonder, like, why couldn't we just, order the Switch online and just ship it to the, pick it up from the store? I feel like that would have been so much easier than having it shipped a week later. Yeah, I was kind of like in the back of my mind thinking, like, should I go to like a actual store and pick it up physically and cancel my online order? I'm still thinking about it. But it says here Thursday, June 5th, before the store opens. I think Target opens around like 10 o'clock. There's going to be a designated queuing area. So I guess I was wrong, because this says June 6th here. June 6th, Nintendo Switch 2 World Bundles will be made available at Target.com. Oh, okay, so a day later, there will be more supplies online. But if you want to pick up a physical console at the store, you can head there June 5th before the store opens. Get a pre-order digital. Okay. I didn't notice that. So yeah, I'm heavily thinking about it, but since I already have one, coming to me, I think what will really ease my mind about this whole thing is if I can just get it like a day or so later after it comes out. Like if they ship it on June 5th or June 4th, just get it to me like in 2 days. Like that's all I want, because a week later, everyone's going to already have played it. Everyone's going to be talking about it. Like it's already going to happen. Like they're going to be talking about it. They're already going to be talking about the games. I'm going to literally miss my opportunity to maybe pull in some people just to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2, right? And I won't be able to do that. I have to wait an entire extra week to play the thing if it actually does come on June 11th. And it's like, yeah, sure. Like this podcast is not like my bread and butter, obviously. Like it's more of a hobby than anything else, obviously. But the fact of the matter is, like, as a gamer, as a person who loves gaming, I don't want to be spoiled for the secret functionality or the Mario Kart world, like why it's worth $80 or whatever. I want to be playing it already. I want to actually see it happen. I want to use that Pro Controller day one. I want to zip open that carrying case and just whiff it in. I'll be getting that day one too, but. Yeah, I'm hoping, I have my fingers crossed that once it actually does ship, right now it's preparing the ship, but once it does actually ship, it'll come here like the same day or or a couple days later. That's all I hope for. That's all I wish for. But I am very tempted to line up in front of my Target on Thursday and see what happens. I'm very tempted, but I might hold off just because I think, because I already have one ordered, I already have one technically on the way, I want to leave open space for other people, okay? I don't need to get the Switch day one, of course. Who really needs to get a day one, right? It'd be fun to get a day one. But, I already have one ordered, and I don't want to take a console away from, like, someone else who might want one, whether it be a little kid or an adult who is just, their hobby is gaming or whatever. Will I take it away from a scalper? Yes, 100% every time. But, not a little kid, like, I can't do that. I'm still thinking about it. You'll know next week what happens. Let's move on to what's coming soon. All right, Pokemon Legends ZA. The prices have been revealed, and the release date has been revealed for this as well. So, Pokemon ZA, it's not the holiday title. It's coming in October. October 16th is the day that it will come out. Pre-orders will probably be available soon, but the pricing has been revealed. So the base Switch 1 version of the game is going to be about $60, and the Switch 2 version is going to be about $70, which is kind of what I had guessed from the get-go. If you want to upgrade to the Switch 2 version, that'll be a $10 upgrade. I think look, $60 for like the base game for Switch 1 version. Probably a bit pricey, in all honesty. Probably could be $50. The Switch 2 version did look a lot better when we saw footage of it. Obviously not perfect, but it did look a lot better. So I can see where the price, the $10 difference is in just those little, things that we've seen. But I do feel like the base game probably could be a little bit less. I mean, it's Pokemon. It's going to sell no matter what. I mean, people love Pokemon. But I mean, as a newly out of the closet Pokemon fan, I mean, look, I mean, I'm there. I will buy this one because I love Pokemon Sword. I've been enjoying Pokemon Ruby Sapphire. I've been playing the Pocket game every day at this point. I'm there. But yeah, that comes out October 16th. I'm sure that if there is a Nintendo Direct in June, they'll tell us when pre-orders will be available. They might be available the same day as the Nintendo Direct in June. We'll see. People are guessing that the next Direct is going to be like on the 11th or 12th, which is kind of funny. But yeah, there you go. Also, Nintendo has revealed the new stuff coming to Mario Party Jamboree. There was a Japanese version and an official English version as well. So there's 2 new modes. One mode is called Tag Team, which allows you to team up with one of your friends to work together to beat the other team of 2. Another one is called Frenzy Rules, which I believe that one is just like a very fast-paced, like all mini games, like very fast-paced Mario Party, with only like I think it's like 5 turns or 10 turns, something like that. A very quick version of it. Also, Bowser Live. This will allow you to use the camera integration, the microphone, and the mouse integration to do various, mini games that are very interactable, I will say. And then there's also a new climax mode. Yes, that's right. You heard me right. You are on a roller coaster and you are hitting targets with the mouse. And sometimes there is a mini game that you do that requires the mouse version of the Switch or the microphone on the Switch or whatever. So it's kind of cool. Much like that mode in Super Mario Party Superstars or Mario Party Superstars with the raft. It kind of reminds me of that a bit. So there's going to be a bunch of new mini games for the mouse in general. I think the mouse is really the big marquee thing, like the big thing. Like even though they've spent a lot of time talking about the camera, I feel like the real like gimmick of this console is going to be that mouse controller. And like pretty much all the mini games that they showed off for the climax mode were mouse controls, which is pretty cool. So if you want to check out that video, of course, it's on Nintendo's YouTube channel. Mind's Eye, which is coming June 10th. Had a new trailer. This trailer, I mean, look, a lot of people are saying like, oh, it looks like a PS3 game, blah 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 blah. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, this game, I don't think it's gonna break any records or be the most unique thing out there. But in terms of like a game that kind of reminds me of Watch Dogs in a lot of ways, with like its hacking and open world aesthetic, I think it looks like it's going to be pretty good, and it seems like it's going to have a pretty interesting story, like this like kind of sci-fi, like not quite like cyberpunk, but kind of getting there kind of thing, where it's like you have some implants, you have like a drone following you around that can do various things, like it can zap enemies, it can control robots and stuff like that. Might be kind of cool, Obviously, this is coming from the same guy who worked on GTA, so you can kind of expect some bombastic moments, a big lush open world, probably a lot of characters to find, and probably a pretty crazy driving system as well. But right now, I will say I do have this pre-ordered. I think it looks pretty cool. If it is what I think it's going to be, which is a better version of Watch Dogs, I'm all there for it. Watch Dogs 1, pretty disappointing. Watch Dogs 2, really enjoyed that game. I thought Watch Dogs 2 was great. Watch Dogs Legion, well, not great. But Mind's Eye could be kind of cool. So we'll see how that plays on June 10th, and I will probably be talking about it that week. Power Wash Simulator is putting out its final update before the sequel comes out. This one is called Monkingham Last Stop, Files 6. So what it looks like is you're going to be going through a subway to various different locations. You're going to clean the subway car first, and then you're going to move on to some various locations, like the park, where there's a bunch of statues and graffiti everywhere. And I guess there's a couple of other things as well. This free update also improves some things with the game as well. So, there's a list of updates as well with this. I mean, look, Power Wash Simulator, it can be really fun. It can also be a little bit boring, but it can be pretty fun. So when the sequel does come out, I'm sure that they are going to also support it for quite a long time. Hopefully, they'll keep making free updates along with the DLC. I think that'd be great if they could keep that up, because that's what makes Power Wash Simulator so great, is the fact that not only are they putting out these big like Shrek DLC and Wallace and Gromit DLC like for paid, like for $10. But then they also put out these smaller updates with like a new level, like the Christmas level or the Subway level or whatever. And I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool that they do that kind of stuff. And hopefully it'll continue to do that with the sequel. But as of right now, this is the final update for Power Wash Simulator. It's been quite a ride. All right, there's a new NBA game coming out. It's called NBA Bounce. If you're thinking about NBA Jam, this is not going to be that. This looks like a dumbed-down, child-friendly version of basketball coming from Outright Games. Not coming from 2K, but coming from Outright Games, which they have a shaky track record with their games. Yeah, essentially it's going to be a basketball game where you can either play as like an avatar or a mascot from one of the various teams. So there won't be like LeBron James won't be in this game, or Kyrie Irving. It's a bunch of like mascots and generic avatars. Looks like there's also going to be some power-ups or something to use in the game as well. It could be kind of fun, but it does seem a bit low effort, and it also doesn't look like it's going to be that good in my opinion. But the game's not out yet, so I shouldn't judge it too harshly. We also haven't really gotten any gameplay of it. But on top of 3v3 basketball, you also have mini games and 4-player support, so you can play with up to 4 people, which is kind of weird seeing as it's a 3v3 game, but whatever. There will also be 32 mascots from real NBA teams. You can also compete in your own playoff bracket as well. Ooh. So the bare minimum. I'm sorry. Let's move on. Atomfall, which came out earlier this year, is putting out its first DLC called Wicked Isle. This is coming June 3rd, and it's going to be $20 if you want to pick that up. In this Wicked Isle update, you will find a new region called Midsummer Island. You're going to cross the waters and onto the shore with the Windham Village, a new location that brings in new characters, stories, enemies, items, and multiple extra endings. Ooh. Midsummer is located close to the Windscale Atom Plant, and as a result, the level of infection in both the people and environment are higher than on the mainland. So it sounds like you're going to be getting some pretty wacky enemies. But yeah, if you want to check that out, that's going to be available soon. And then here are the PlayStation Plus essential games for June 2025. It's actually a decent list this time around. We got NBA 2K25, Alone in the Dark, the remaster, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, and Destiny 2, The Final Shape. I think NBA 2K, it's like every year there's a golf game and there's a basketball game for free. Here's our basketball game. Greedy Waffles and I will probably play this game. I'll probably lose every match again, but whatever. Alone in the Dark, I've been waiting on this game for quite some time. I'm glad to be able to play it for no extra cost. That'd be kind of cool. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I've played this game before. It's excellent. I love it. Did not make the top 10 list, but it was on the cusp. If there was like a top 15, it'd be like at least 13 or 11 or something like that. But Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, fun game. Definitely try that one out. And then Destiny 2, The Final Shape. It is what it is. I haven't heard like the best things about it, but I also have no interest in playing it. That'll be available. Actually, it's already available now to download that for free on May 28th, so it's already available now. And then they also announced that they're going to be adding some extra games to the extra tier and premium tier for PlayStation Plus for this month, on top of the ones that I already talked about from last week. So available right now is Another Crab's Treasure on the PlayStation Plus extra tier. Skull and Bones will be available June 2nd. Destiny 2 Legacy Collection will be available June 4th. And Grand Theft Auto 3 will be available June 10th. The new bonus PlayStation Plus premium games are going to be Myst on the PS1, available June 5th, and Riven, which I believe is the sequel to Myst, which originally launched on the PS1, which will be available June 5th as well. So pretty cool that they're adding some more games to that collection. Definitely needed that because they took away so many games. They're going to be taking away so many games this month, but whatever. All right, let's go ahead and do Guess That Song. If you know the name of the song and the game that came from, I'll give you a super reaction in the Discord, and you will get the admiration of your peers. Or if you comment on Spotify, YouTube, etc., I will give you a heart and a congratulations. Let's listen to today's song right now.
I don't know how I became the shape of a T. Never forget your perfect shape. But I can spin so fast, I can fly in the sky. Leaving yourself perfect shape. I don't know what my dog is thinking about.
Okay, if you know the name of the song and the game that it came from, let me know in the places that I told you. If you want to join the Discord, link is down in the description below on all these podcast episodes. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, etc., it's all at Yemmy the Ferret. If you want to check out when I stream, it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Coming up is Sonic Summer. We're going to be playing all Sonic games for 2 months straight. Will I die or will I become a Sonic fanboy? Find out June 2nd when we started off with Sonic the Hedgehog on the Genesis. There's also a contest attached to that as well if you want to check that out in the Discord. Also, I do another podcast called Film Freaks with a Z where we talk about movies. The most recent episode is about Your Next from 2013. If you want to check that out, that podcast released bi-weekly. Also, there's a new episode of Fubar Ferret out right now, monthly episodes of that. If you want to check that out. And like I said, everything else is all at Yemmy the Ferret. If you want to check me out in any other places. All right, folks, I appreciate you listening to this episode. Appreciate you following the podcast, liking it on YouTube, and commenting. It always warms my heart. I will see you all next week. Hopefully, I will have a Switch 2 in my hands that I can talk about. If not, I will come back here and probably cry. I'll probably cry. I'm Yemmy the Ferret, and I'm out of here. So long.
The Ferret 64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. Small sound clips used throughout the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. The song in the intro and outro is Nightshade by Adhesive Wombat. The Ferret 64 logo was made by Player2P2. News sources include PushSquare.com, NintendoLife.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions, video game related, are my own. Thank you for listening.